Action Comics issue 1055 finds the police and National Guard battling the Necro Hive alongside the Superman family, protecting the Warworld refugees from the killer cyborg terrorists. Connor and Keenan revel in getting to punch some things very hard, and Keenan even quotes Star Wars, making John think that they need to work on their Mandarin, since Keenan's English is putting them to shame. Steel asks the boys to call out if they hear a heartbeat, but they haven't heard anything yet, signaling to them that the Necro Hive is just all corpses. One blasts Superman, telling him that he should look past the meat puppets and hear his voice, since Superman should recognize his own flesh and blood. The Necro Hive surround the heroes, telling Clark that he never paid the price for the villain's murdered wife, so the Super family will pay it for him. Superman knows that they are dealing with Hank Henshaw, the Cyborg Superman, as Nat thought that he was still in the Phantom Zone, but Clark tells her that John reported a puppet of his was reanimated during the Dark Crisis. Hank thinks the heroes find it hard to believe that someone might find a way out of his ancestral gulag, as he explains that he is a technopath, and anything his mind can reach into, he can control, and after he's done using those devices, they still retain trace amounts of his consciousness. Luckily for Henshaw, Lex Luthor didn't know this when he used Henshaw's digital consciousness to make the Henshaw engine, which he then installed in his battlesuit satellites and then used to make Metallo's new body, giving Henshaw free reign to take over Corben's body. Superman demands to know where Tracy Corben is, as Henshaw gloats about the woman being with him, and by the time the hero finds them, they will both be family. He implores the hero to hurry up as Superman crushes the Necro Hive's skull, and later, in the Fortress of Solitude, Metallo throws around some equipment in frustration, telling Superman and his family that it's been too long already and Tracy might be dead. Superman tells him that Henshaw called himself the hero's flesh and blood, and if that means what he thinks it does, he has a way he can find him. Kara hates this idea, but Clark hasn't even said what it is yet, but Kara already knows and reminds her cousin that this person is a monster and no goodwill will come of this. Clark tells her that this isn't the same one they locked away with Henshaw, it's just a template. Connor and John don't know what is going on, as Metallo implores Superman to do what he is doing fast. Clark grabs a sun crystal, plugging it into the interface and apologizing to Kara as he talks Kryptonian to the Eradicator. A holographic version of the Eradicator appears and wants to know his directive, so Clark asks if it is still the caretaker of Kryptonian purity, and the Eradicator confirms he is by pointing out Connor as a sullied clone and John as a half-Terran child of Superman, asking his master if he wishes them to be culled. Kara thinks she was right about this being a bad idea, but Superman asks the being if he could track someone using Superman's DNA bonded to a cybernetic frame. Eradicator knows he can track such an abomination, leading the group into the world as John, Kara, Keenan, and Natasha protect Metropolis from the Necro Hive. John tells his father that this will keep getting worse until they deal with Henshaw, but he'll hold them off. Metallo tells Superman to focus up since the Eradicator has found something. Othel tells Metallo to shut up and not talk when not spoken to, but Superman reminds her of her manners. The girl asks why they brought an unmade with them since he tried to kill them, but Clark says that they are working to save John's sister, and only then will he pay for his crimes, since sometimes adversaries can still fight for a common purpose and even become friends sometimes. Othel waves it off, not wanting to be friends with Metallo, as Eradicator takes them to an abandoned airport. Clark recognizes this as Racine Airport, having ran a story at the Daily Planet on them when Luthor bought it down to shut it down after getting an ownership stake in another competing airport nearby, and since then, this has just been a dumping ground for old technology. The group head through a sinkhole at the center of the airport, and Connor thinks that Henshaw is one creepy dude. Steel thinks that Helgramite is creepier, and Connor agrees as Superman points out the environment seems to be moving and reacting to them. Eradicator reminds the hero that Henshaw is a technopath, and this place could be an extension of his mind. One of the tubes wraps around Othel's leg, but Metallo cuts it off, telling Othel to calm down since there is no need to be scared of him, but he understands it, since the girl is just looking out for her brother, just like she is meant to be doing. He thinks about his and Tracy's childhood and how he was very protective of his sister, especially against his father, who once tried to make John get rid of a gun, but upon holding the gun, John found it made him feel powerful, powerful, like he was holding a magic wand. He hid the gun and his father abused him and Tracy once their uncle Mark died, and John couldn't take it anymore, using the hidden gun against his father, killing him before he was able to beat Tracy. After the incident, John was split up from his sister and sent to a military academy for broken kids, becoming a well-trained soldier where he found that using a gun made him accepted and valued, and soon he became Metallo, feeling himself getting closer and closer to the thing he was always meant to be, a gun. Othel is sorry about what happened to him, and it takes John a minute to realize what she said, but he knows that if he hadn't gotten that gun, his sister would be dead, and she is the only one that really matters here. He thinks that things will be okay soon though, since why couldn't he become a good guy now, since he'll just do his time in jail and Tracy will have the life she deserves, and eventually he could be a hero. The group confronts Cyborg Superman, who is happy to be reunited with Superman once more. Superman tells Henshaw he is outmatched by the family and they want Tracy Corben. Henshaw thinks that it's convenient as the heroes are blasted by a kryptonite beam from the now cybernetic Tracy Corben. Henshaw tells Metallo that she has been asking for her brother, as Tracy warns him she cannot control her body and needs help. Cyborg Superman finds it rather touching to see a family overcome their troubled past and finally come together as he sends Tracy to kill Metallo and Superman.